Hello folks, very different one for you today. Some of you already know, but I do a monthly podcast with my friend Alex. It's called Charging Status, and it's all about electric cars. We occasionally discuss something else, but it's mostly an EV podcast. The interesting thing about it is, until recently, I didn't have an EV. Alex hasn't got an EV, so we're not mad, crazy electric car nuts. But we certainly both enjoy electric cars as well as diesel and petrol cars, in fairness. So hopefully this is a little bit more balanced than some EV content you've seen before. But here we go. Let's crack on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the December episode of Charging Status, a Christmas special episode if you take. The EV Focus podcast brought to you from The Interface. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Jim Starling. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm all right, Alex. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I've had a busy week with a GV70, which is really nice. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, well, just to precursor this video you're seeing will be on Jim's channel. The audio version will be live on the usual places. We're just trying something a bit different this month. So, again, busy month. We've got a lot of different things to get through. You've been to America. I'm sure you've been having fun over there. The very first thing I want to get to is I went to... so I've had the GV70 this week. It's going back today, actually, which I'm very, very sad about. But I did an EV road trip on Saturday. I did 300 something miles. There was no problems. There's no interesting stories, no fires, no horror stories this time. So did over 300 miles.
So this one didn't catch fire?
No, I did over 300 miles, and I didn't have any stress. I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose my girlfriend, so that was all good. Yeah. Wow,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm lucky I got through it. To be honest, I'm lucky I made it alive.
You are. You're a soldier, though. You know, you carry on for the rest of us. So, yeah, respect. Where did you go on this 300-mile non-fiery adventure, anyway?
I took it to Gridserve in Braintree. It's their first electric forecourt over in Essex. It was a bit of a drive. But my initial thing was, on my channel, I do a bit of EV guides on how to use certain chargers, because they're all a bit different, aren't they? So I went with the idea to do two things. I was going to test drive one of the Polestar 2s, because I've never driven one before. We'll get to that in a bit. And then also I was going to film a guide on how to use a Gridserve charger, because when I've tried to have a look at where they are before, there's always two of them, and it's a bit tricky to film. Yeah. So, but I was 80% through filming a video, about to do the outro, and this guy came up to me who works at Gridserve. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm filming a video. He said, what's that for? I said, it's YouTube. And he said, can you not? Because we've had a few instances before. So I basically got told off for making a video at a Gridserve charger
Incidents
place.
Of what?
I don't know. The only thing I could think about is either two things. Actually, what he said to me was, can you go... all videos that are filmed here, you have to go for their PR department. And then that made me think. I think either there's been videos out there that have said things that they don't agree with, or two, people have been stood in the middle of the forecourt and got either hit by a car or in videos that they weren't too happy about, like members of the public in videos that made it on YouTube. So I'm not really sure what happened there. Just felt a bit wrong. Like, I'm making a video about how to use one of your chargers, but you told me off for filming. I don't know. Really weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance that the guy could have just been a knob, and maybe he wouldn't have come over and challenged you if you'd have been fully dressed. You know, these are the other questions that remain to be answered. But yeah, I know some companies are mega protective, aren't they, of like their corporate identity and everything. But it does seem crazy when you're filming an instructional video that might help people use their product and spend money with them. But I always think if they don't want your publicity, then bugger them, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Just like some of the crummy little car companies that refuse to lend you a car, and then someone else will give you like £150,000 car and be happy for the exposure. And, so a little crummy car company treats you like something they've trodden in. And I sort of think, well, I won't give you any exposure of any kind if that's how you want to play it. Sodom.
Yeah, I managed to get one filmed in the end at Permissive Services with Gridserve, because I wanted to do one on that while I had the car. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
managed to get one done. But the Braintree forecourt, just a little talk about that. It's lovely. I think it's been open for about 3 years now, or maybe 2 years. But yeah, it was on Saturday. What time was it? It was about Saturday lunchtime. No, it was very quiet. Not many people charging, but it's lovely thing they made. They got a few cars you can test drive, and I test drive a Polestar too, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Cool. Nice.
Hot off the press. So we're recording this on Tuesday 19th. There was some talk last night about saw some stuff on Twitter from various people, and we verified it ourselves. On Lease Loco, so Jim, you do a lot of work with Lease Loco. You do a monthly video, I think 2 monthly videos now, about Lease Loco deals. There was this absolute bargain that popped up on Lease Loco yesterday. It was from Maxus T90, and we've got a Maxus T90 in the 5 deals of the month video section of the podcast as well. But this popped up for an absolute cracker of a deal yesterday. So it's basically £100 a month and £100 up front for an electric pickup truck that's worth like 50 grand.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I know it didn't last very long last night, and then I was actually going to do a video about it. I actually saw it when it was on a 2-year deal for £174 a month, and I actually recorded a little video for it. I asked Lease Loco for the link, and they sort of said, well, let us verify this one because this seems completely wrong. And they called the broker, and the broker actually said, oh, actually, the financier's just pulled out, so we've got to remove the deal. Read into that sort of what you will, really. But Lease Loco sort of were immediately suspicious of that one. And this morning, the deal keeps changing constantly, and they are sort of looking at it at their end. So if there does end up being an amazing deal on that vehicle, I will have a video out today, which is probably a couple of days ago by the time you watch this or listen to this podcast. But yeah, I mean, it sort of raises that more general point at the moment, which is some absolutely amazing lease deals coming through on electric cars, and indeed new car deals. Like if you've got cash and you want to buy a new electric car at the moment, there are some incredible deals. Now, all the EV naysayers will obviously say, Bob, it's because nobody wants them and nobody buys them and everything else. What these deals have been so far, the crazy one, I mean, my friend's just ordered an ID Buzz this morning, and let me tell you what he's paid for that. It's on a business lease. This is one of my very best friends. He's paid 9 months up front and £247 a month, plus VAT, obviously, because it's a business lease, on a 24-month deal. The price of that car is 65 grand. He's going to have it for 2 years for about, I don't know, probably 7.5 off the top of my head. And that car will probably lose 30 grand of its value in the next 2 years. And he's getting it for like 7.5. But why would you lease one? Because you don't own it at the end. That's why, folks. That's why you would lease one. Because you don't own it at the end when it's lost loads of money. But anyway, I digress. The reason this is happening and the reason these super cheap deals are coming around right now is because the traditional car manufacturers are struggling to hit their zero emission vehicle quota, which is now well and truly in force. And it means a certain percentage of vehicles that they sell have to be zero emissions vehicles. And that percentage number increases every year until 2030, I think it is. Or is it 2035? 2030, I think. And for someone like Tesla, obviously it's not a problem because they only make zero emissions vehicles. If you're VW, you're banging trouble. So they've taken what's probably their most popular EV, by far their best EV, and they've said, there you go, you can have it for next to nothing, just to obviously get loads of sales through. I think they're all pre-registered as well. So I guess that helps them push the sale through. If they register the car as new themselves, well, it's a sale. So I guess they're putting him through at cost is my best guess on it. Maybe even sort of sub-cost to avoid what could be a massive fine. The traditional manufacturers, by the way, can also buy like zero emissions credits from the full EV manufacturers, so they could buy credits from Tesla. So yeah, the two crazy ones we've seen have obviously been that Mercedes EQC and the ID Buzz, but certainly some other really good EV deals around at the moment. So maybe December is going to be the month to lease yourself an EV in the future.
Yeah, is it right in thinking to that fine? I think it's like, is it something stupid like 25 grand or something? I read that. I don't know if that's right or not, but I read that recently. That the fine for not selling so many EVs per year, it's like the fine's just huge. So I think
25 grand per
if the fine
vehicle?
is that big, well, I don't know where I'm getting that from. That might be correct. Yeah, surely they'd rather not pay that fine and then sell that vehicle at a loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's probably why.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean they can afford to sell it sub cost. If you said, well, actually, we'll pay £5,000 towards each car, and it's only costing us, if it is 25 grand a vehicle, it's only costing us £20,000 a vehicle. Then instead of costing us 5,000 a vehicle instead of 25. But whatever, it's all going on at the moment, and in December we've seen the best lease deals on very expensive new EVs that we've ever seen before. Yeah,
it's all crazy. We got, as I mentioned, we also got that that Maxus T90. So I had a quote back from the broker. It was 99. This is for a business lease, so it's ex VAT prices and that sort of thing. It's effectively, after the initial refund they give you, it works out at £99 up front and £99 a month for 12 months. So I've got all the details there. They've put the vehicle as worth £62,000, which is really weird.
62 grand.
Yeah, 61,566. So yeah, got some follow-ups to get through. So last month, well, it must be last month now. You were in Las Vegas then, but you were in Las Vegas. You were in Los Angeles for the auto show. Yeah.
Yep. And then I was in Las Vegas after Los Angeles. So yeah, I basically recorded some videos for Men and Motors YouTube channel, and lots of them are not out yet, by the way, but they have released a little bit of content so far. Yeah. There you go. I just film it. They release it when they want. So I did the LA Auto Show. I saw some amazing stuff there, like the Ioniq 5N. I was at the launch of the Lucid Gravity. It was a complete bun fight, so the footage I got there was really quite bad because it was like Fight Club or something. I saw the Kia EV3 and EV4 concepts. Got to sit in the EV9 for the first time. And then aside from sort of the electric stuff, there was some really cool gas guzzling stuff as well, because I was in America after all. The Ford Bronco for me was like the standout of the show. That platform is amazing. You can buy so many different versions of the Bronco that sort of fill a completely different need to the next one. Very, very clever. Sort of the Nissan Z, which being a 90s JDM fan, I really liked seeing that. That was great. And also there was a thing which was, I don't know if you've ever seen the show, I think it was called Dream Cars, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dream Cars.
I've not seen that before.
Robert Downey. Right, so he basically took 6 of his sort of family vehicles and made them more eco-friendly. And it wasn't a case of just taking the engine out and putting EV running gear in. They did that in 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, really different things. So like more sustainable interiors and lots of different sort of clever things there. And I sort of did a little interview with his co-host and the producer of the show, who's been one of his best mates for like 20 years.
That's cool.
So that was really cool. Yeah. And just loads of amazing stuff there. It really was a first-class show, so really enjoyed that. Also went to the Peterson Museum, which is incredible. If you like movies and things, I mean, they've got the hero car from Back to the Future, like the DeLorean, with everything inside. Basically, if you see them sitting in the car in one of the movies, it's that one. They had kit from Knight Rider. They had the 1989 Batmobile. Just incredible stuff there. And obviously some great sort of historic stuff and concept stuff, and really, really cool. They also had a whole floor dedicated to Tesla, and Tesla's given them the prototype of every one of their vehicles. So they had the prototype of the Cybertruck there, complete with the ball and the sledgehammer that were put through the window. They had the original Roadster. They had a scale model of the new Roadster. They had the Semi. Literally everything. It was very, very cool. Really well done, actually. They also had sort of an art installation, if you like, of a Model Y just taken to pieces, and everything was sort of suspended from the ceiling. And that was really cool. You could see just how few sort of components make up a Model Y. But yeah, very, very cool trip. And then we went up to Vegas and did a video on the Shelby Heritage Centre up there, and saw some very non-electric vehicles. I also met Damon Hill there.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, in my hotel. And so we got there like 12 hours after the F1 had finished. So there was still plenty of nonsense around that going on. So yeah, very, very good trip, but very busy.
Yeah, I must say, given you could tell how busy it was from the videos that have been out, I thought they were very good, considering the fact that it must have been quite busy and distracting in different type of things. And yeah, so I thought they were quite good videos.
At that LA Auto show, we must have actually filmed for 5 or 6 hours. And very little really was released prior to the show, so you couldn't do lots of research before, because you literally didn't know what was going to be there. So apart from 1 or 2 cars that were announced, so it was tough, and we had loads of technical difficulties. There were about 2 hours of it they had to completely re-record because we had no sound. So yeah, it was a real challenge, and certainly like 3 days in, I was completely exhausted. But it was just an amazing trip and well worth the time and the effort, really.
How did you get? So if you filmed for 6 hours straight, how did you get around the battery, like charging your phone and stuff, or charging all the microphones and things?
Yeah, so I've got the new Rode, what's it called? Wireless Go Pro.
Wireless Go,
and it comes in
Pro.
Yeah, it comes in a little charging case like AirPods do or whatever. So anytime we stopped to get a drink or anything, chucked them back in there. They last for ages anyway. My gimbal's got like a 12-hour battery, and we literally swapped cameras, so it made life easier that way.
Fair enough. Yeah, the road stuff's really good. I was looking at the Wireless Go Pro stuff before, but they look really good.
Oh, I met Ginny Buckley there as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was over filming.
Were they filming some stuff there?
Yeah, I was just sort of filming a bit of the Kia EV3 and EV4 from next to the stand, and Ginny was about to get invited onto the stand to go do some proper filming, and she had like a camera person and all that kind of stuff, with some proper equipment, so I wasn't jealous at all. But she told me she was actually the original presenter on Men and Motors, so that was quite cool. But she was really nice, actually. Really, really nice.
That's good. Fair enough. I just want to mention your first of 2 now. Your Living with an EV video is a one-take wonder, as you call it. It's done quite well, actually. You've had 31,000 views. I thought that video was actually really good. I'm impressed at how you did it in one take, because the amount of takes I do for my videos is just ridiculous. Fumble over words. But I thought it was really good. Like, just a good talk about what an EV is like to live with.
The funny thing is, I went out to the car to film a review of a dash cam and realised I couldn't be bothered. And I thought, actually, I'm just going to turn this on and talk about what it's like to live in an electric car. And I literally came off my drive, and I start speaking in that video probably 90 seconds after I had the idea.
Yeah, it's impressive.
But just to make it as natural as possible.
Yeah.
So I personally like stuff that's natural when someone's just having a chat with you rather than something that's perhaps a bit more. I mean, I don't script anything I do ever, but sometimes, I mean, you could watch probably Fully Charged would probably do a similar video, or What Car or something. It would be mega professional and really well shot, and it would cover absolutely every topic and it would never repeat itself. But I'd rather watch someone having a chat. So I thought I'll make something that I might want to watch.
Well, that's what the beauty of YouTube. You can have an idea, and then a minute later you can go and film it and then upload it the same day. It's just,
yeah,
it's if that was stuff on TV, it'd take you months and months. But yeah,
I thought
that was really well done. So
I just wish it was always that easy to get 30,000 views, but never mind.
yeah.
Oh, Alex, what have you been up to? We've heard enough about me.
So again, I had the GV70 this week. But every time I get an EV, I go and try it at Tesla Supercharger, one of the ones that is open to everyone. And to my surprise, so I didn't try the GV60 because I had man flu that week. But with the GV70, I've tried it and it didn't work. Unfortunately, I tried it at a V3 and also at a V4. And I did some research, and apparently all the cars that are based on the GIMP platform, or eGIMP platform, or eGMP. So it's like Genesis GV60, Ioniq 5, and Kia EV6. All of them apparently are on a blacklist with Tesla at the moment. None of them work. I did speak to someone on Twitter last night who had got a GV60. He said he has managed to get it to work before, but I do wonder if it's something to do with a software thing. But apparently Tesla know about it. None of those cars work. And by the end of the year, there's a software update going out to all Tesla chargers to make them work. So
fewer people that can use a Tesla charger, the better. So, yeah. That's the first mention of a GIMP on this podcast, so I think it should probably be the last as well, but well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit the bingo card. It leads on to some sort of, like you mentioned, you should be able to use them, but in my opinion, the expansion of Tesla's network, hopefully, so that on their website, they does state that they plan to have every charger eventually by... So they didn't actually give a date, but they plan to expand their entire network to be compatible with everyone. But because they're so cheap, that should, in theory, force everyone else to sort of stop taking us for granted a little bit. Because famously, there's one charger in Reading where there's 2 rows of chargers. One side is Gridserve, one side is Tesla that's V4. And there was a photo I saw when it opened, and no one was using the Gridserve ones because they were double the price. And Gridserve have increased their prices this year twice. I think it's gone up by 11p or so, 12p. Since the summer, so the fact that Tesla superchargers are cheap, it should force all the other operators to sort of be a bit sensible with their charging prices. So,
or Tesla will turn around and say, "Well, if you haven't got Tesla, we're going to charge you like something closer to what the others are charging, maybe in the fullness of time."
Yeah,
might be you pay an extra 20p or something, but I bet they'll still be significantly cheaper. And to be fair, if they're in use for 16 hours a day and the Gridserve one's in use for 3 hours a day, well, Tesla can afford to charge a bit less per hour, can't they? So yeah, hopefully some of the others, it feels to me like it needs some proper regulation, because it feels a bit like the Wild West at the moment. You can go to one public charger and it's like 60p, and the next one's nearly £1.
So the Porsche chargers are probably one of the fastest and cheapest at the moment. They're, well, compared to, that aren't Tesla. I think it's like 55p a kilowatt hour for 350 kilowatt.
Yeah.
Gridserve, I think before June used to be 66p. Some point in August it went up to 69p, and now it's 79p. Because I went to charge on Saturday, I was like, oh, this isn't right. This is 79p. Why is it so much? And I did some googling. So they've increased it again. Instavolt. Every time there's a tweet from Instavolt, there's always people whinging in the comments saying, oh, it's so expensive, because it is. It's 85p a kilowatt hour. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. It feels a bit, I don't know. Don't want to use the word predatory, but it just feels a bit wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so. Yeah. And
that leads me nicely into the GV70. So for me, personally, I've been thinking about this all week. I still prefer the GV60, I think. I don't know if you saw it with as well. Yeah. I don't know if you saw it as well, but the GV70 is not quite as efficient as the GV60. I'm not sure if... So both cars have the same battery, but the difference is, I think, potentially... One, the GV70 is massive compared to the 60, and less aerodynamic. And also, I think the 70, because it's petrol car first, or it's converted into an EV essentially afterwards, even though it's got the same battery, it's probably a little bit hindered in that fact. And also I think, some of the niceties with like the orb in this 60 I still prefer, but overall as a car, that thing is absolutely amazing. So quiet, and it's a lovely thing to drive. But for me personally, I would, if it was my money, I'd get the GV60 still. But yeah.
I would definitely take the 70 over the 60. I think the 70s are just so good, and the 60 to me feel. The problem is I'd had every other Genesis before I got a GV60, and my association of Genesis as a brand is like Mercedes, like top end BMW. I'm putting it in that bracket, and GV60 to me felt like an Ioniq 5 or an EV6, which are both great cars, and obviously they are the same car, but it just felt like an EV6 or an Ioniq 5 with a slightly nicer interior. And certainly some of the materials on the GV60 are not as good as you'll find in a GV70, the 80, any of the other Genesis range. So it feels like the cheap Genesis or an expensive Hyundai, where the others in the range I feel like a premium car. Almost like think of like 5 Series BMW to 1 Series BMW.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what we've established is you're wrong and I'm right. Okay.
Overall, I think the Genesis brand, I've just been thinking about this the whole week, it's just so good. It's such a shame that they haven't sold as many. I had a quick look on DVLA. There's only like 700 GV60s on the road in the UK, and like double figures of everything else. It's such a shame. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about it, but I spoke to the driver who delivered the Genesis, and he said there's some word around that they have 6 years left to sort themselves out. Well, before Hyundai pulls the plug. So
did you hear that they're now going into Hyundai? They're going to become a division of Hyundai rather than a.
That's right. Yeah.
Company kind of thing. Obviously to do some cost cutting. I mean, Genesis is in the US. It's pretty big. You see a lot of them in the US.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah, and I think it's just big premium cars in this country. People are very, very set in their ways, and in the US they're much more. People will happily go and buy a Lexus over a Mercedes or something in the US, and here still even Lexus is like a little bit of not a niche brand, but it's certainly not Mercedes or BMW, is it?
No.
So yeah, it's tough, and when you come to market with a new brand and it's mega expensive, it is tough to break in, I'm sure.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that generally speaking, with the people that enough money to buy those cars, they like to go to dealerships. And Genesis only have 3 studios, as they call them. I think there's 2 in London and 1 in Edinburgh, and the rest of them you just order online. They are moving towards a dealership approach, I think, with the merging with the Hyundai. So, the management style of Hyundai. So hopefully that will bring some more people into the brand, because it is, I've always said that pictures and videos don't always do cars justice, the interiors.
Yeah.
Some of them look like absolute crap on pictures, but they actually, in person, they're like, oh my, this is amazing. So unless someone doesn't actually go and sit in a car, they won't realise how good it is. So I hope that they'll be able to sort themselves out, because I think that's my favourite car brand this year, the Genesis vehicles. So
yeah, but
so good.
Yeah, from the moment I first got one, I just absolutely adored it. Just loved the things. So as I said, the only one I'm not 100% on is the GV60, and it's only because it doesn't feel like Genesis so much.
Yep. That's fair enough. I've got a very quick thing I want to talk about. The Polestar 2. I had a 1-hour Gridserve test drive, so we spoke about it earlier. Gridserve you can book a free 1-hour test drive with any of the vehicles they've got. They've got tons of them, all EVs, just to help you, and they'll talk you through the whole EV if you want to. So it's no sales pressure, and you can try out a car. I wasn't very impressed with the Polestar 2. I don't know if you've driven one before.
One of my favourite cars is the Polestar 2, but I had the long-range performance one. So it was the full or single dance, and it's not one of my favourite EVs, one of my favourite cars.
All right. I thought we're on the different thought processes today. This was a standard range one, so it's 45 grand, and I thought a Model 3 was way better than that. I don't know. It just felt like for that money, the interior was really poor quality. Something like the indicator noise felt like something was wrong with the speaker system. Like you indicate left, it felt like a weird, like static noise. I don't know, but the only thing I found good about it was the infotainment system was I'm a bit of a font nerd, so I thought the fonts they use were really nice, and the UI for the whole screen was really nice as well. But the rest of it, I don't know, it just felt very bland. But yeah, with the Polestar 2 in general, I just thought it was a little bit lacking. I don't know. But yeah.
I wonder if like the interior materials were not as good because it was like base spec. So obviously that's one thing if you buy a Tesla, you're only really buying the different powertrain, aren't you? Like the interior is the interior and the infotainment's the infotainment. When I had one, albeit it was a while ago, and I don't know if they've done some kind of minor facelift since.
They have.
They may have cut costs somewhere, but the one I had I thought it was great, like really fantastic. I got very excited by that car.
I mean, it drove really well. It was really fast, good handling and stuff. Took it for an hour around Braintree, but just everything else around it, apart from the interior, because the infotainment was really good. But yeah, that's just little 1-hour impressions. So.
Yeah, which is the infotainment's Google based, I think, isn't it, or Android based?
Yeah, it's Google based. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a massive improvement over what used to come in Volvo. So I was immediately quite pleased to see that when I sort of first got into the press car that I had, because the Volvo infotainment system was okay but not amazing, and it felt like a huge step up in that regard.
But yeah, no, if you're in the area around Norwich or Braintree, go and book one online and you can try out a car for free. There's no sales pressure, so it's nice. Cool. And then you've been driving 2 EVs recently that I've found over on the Men and Motors channel. It's got the ID3 and the ID Buzz. So how did you find those two?
It was actually quite a long time ago that I had those. It was it was the day after we did that SMMT event.
September.
But Men and Motors often sort of hang on to videos for quite a long time, because they've got a fairly sort of strict release schedule. So the ID Buzz I thought was absolutely brilliant. We need to forget about the fact it's got slidey controls for things for a moment, and it's got haptics where, as you know, my thoughts on that is that VW have basically downgraded their cars by putting haptics in, and a lot of people agree, I think. So that aside, I think it was an absolutely brilliant thing. The amazing thing about that ID Buzz is the footprint of it is smaller than my Model Y.
Really? Doesn't look like it,
Yet it looks huge. Yeah. And I guess it's because it's got no bonnet to speak of.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
You know, they're fairly flat-fronted, aren't they? And I think the range is disappointing still. I think that kind of car should have at least 300 miles of range, because it's a family touring car, basically. I also think it's a shame they didn't do a 7-seat option from the off. I know the long wheelbase one is coming with the 7 seats, or 7-seat option. but it would have been nice to have that as an option from the start, because the boot is huge. You could easily get another couple of seats in that existing platform. But yeah, the only downside for me really is the range, aside from the infotainment issues. The infotainment system itself has been upgraded, so it's better than you saw in sort of the original ID3, for example. Still not amazing, but it's okay now. In my brief time with the car, I can say that anyway. And yeah, the other one I drove was the ID Buzz. Sorry, the ID3. And the ID3, the first time round, I hated it. Like, I really wanted to like it, and I hated it, but I think I hated it possibly unfairly, because I was so upset by the styling. So I really wanted them to do a sort of Mark 1, Mark 2 Golf looking thing, sort of a retro modern, and I think if they had, I think it would have been a bit of a game changer. And they didn't, and it was silly, and they released something that seemed rushed in every way, and it felt to me like a pre-production car. The first one I drove, it had so many sort of bad design choices and bad, and I mean bad design from an ergonomic point of view, not from how it looks, how it actually functions. And this one I drove was the facelift, the new version, and I mean it's only subtly different, but it felt much more coherent. It felt much more like a car and a product that was like at the final stage of its design. It felt like the car they should have released initially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm still not in love with the looks of them, but looks are completely subjective anyway. But it definitely felt like more of a finished product than the first version did, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Shock horror.
Yeah. Fair enough. Hopefully with so there's been some more details of the ID2 launched last week. I think late last week there was a lot of journalists. I think went over to Germany, and I saw Autogefühl did a video. I love those videos. Tom and his ruler, it was quite funny.
Yeah. And his ruler, yeah.
But yeah, they gave us like a whole.
Let's go.
They gave us like a whole full tour of the interior, and that to me is where, if that's where things are going, that's exciting, because there's physical buttons and there's dials and things. I love the look of that thing, and there's lots of nice little touches on that. So when that comes out, I know it's a little bit. There's a few words about it. It's going to be a little bit late to the game, but I think if it's as good as it looks, I think it'll be fine. To be honest, I'm quite looking forward to that. So yeah. So hopefully VW are getting on their way to making things a bit better. Awesome.
Yeah, I think the new CEO's having I was chatting to the PR guy at VW, and he was saying like what a difference the new CEO's made, and he's very much about making VW special again, and making it a car that people want as well as need. And he feels like that's been possibly missing from the brand in recent times. And they've obviously also changed the CEO at Audi, because the new CEO of the group felt that Audi had lost their way. So yeah, hopefully we'll see a return to form for VW Group in the next couple of years.
Fantastic. Just a reminder for people to review the show. Thanks everyone who's been listening to this podcast. Me and Jim look forward to coming back every month to provide our takes on the latest EV updates. We would really appreciate it if you could review this show in the podcast app you're listening in, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anything else. If you're watching our gorgeous faces on YouTube, make sure to leave a comment and hit that like button. It really does help other people find this show. Without further ado, let's get back to the EV news. The next one is, the first story I've got is the Jeep Avenger petrol. It's now on sale. Now, when this was launched, it was supposed to be an EV, it's a pure EV. I've got a few maybe controversial takes on it. So just for some instruction, the Jeep Avenger was £35,000. I saw one on Sunday actually. It looked quite cool. They're going to be sold as a pure electric car. It was sharing the same EV platform with other Stellantis vehicles like Peugeot, Citroën and Vauxhall. But there were some plans. So apparently in Spain and Italy and Poland, those markets are a bit behind on EV infrastructure as we are. We're a bit behind Germany as well, but anyway. So Jeep, we're going to sell the petrol version there using some Stellantis engines, but apparently Jeep dealers in the UK have been inundated with requests for a petrol Avenger, so they've sort of given in and started selling one now. It's a very limited version. It's no optional extras, just paint you can choose. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit disappointing because I understand that they need to sell vehicles, and if they've got demand for vehicles, then that's a good thing. But they could have sort of set an example for people, I guess. Other manufacturers just said, yeah, we've got this cool design, we're going to make it EV only, and that's it. But I don't know. I don't know what your take was on that.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because in the boardroom, and especially someone like Stellantis, they make decisions made on bottom line, and they're not there to set examples and do anything like that. So if I was in charge of that company, I would have done exactly the same thing, to be fair. If the demand is there, you just meet that demand. But I haven't driven the Avenger yet, but by all accounts, from speaking to some people that have, it's really nothing special. And I wonder how good a petrol version of that car will be when it's been designed ground up as an EV. Obviously, we've seen EVs that were designed as petrol cars initially, and they're not always the best. And when you flip that on its head, I don't know, it's an odd one for me.
I can see why people want it. Like, think, oh, I want it, but so the petrol one's going to be 27 grand, the EV one is 35. So I can see, people might look and think, it's really expensive, but it's a lovely looking car. I don't know how I'm not entirely sure how it won Car of the Year when it was out for like a few months, but anyway, bit weird, but
yeah, I know. And like speaking to a couple of people at various events that have driven them, the first person I spoke to, I said, have you driven the Jeep Avenger? And they said lots of rude words.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't driven one, so I'll keep my powder dry personally.
Yep. Fair enough. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit disappointing, but it does look cool. So I can see why people want it, and there's sort of demand for it. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks really cool. It's a great design.
100%. Next two, there's two little EVs which have been discontinued. So we've got the first one is a story I wrote over on your website, NotAGuru.co.uk. It's the Renault Zoe. It's been discontinued after 11 years. So over that time, it's been on sale since 2012. There's been two different generations. The most recent one had quite a good range of over 230 miles. But yeah, they've decided to drop it from sale last week. So in terms of what's going to replace it, it's going to be the Renault 5, but there's no date of release for that I could find. So they've released a concept car back in 2021. Apparently the production version is going to look very similar, but there's no information on when it's going to go on sale. But at the moment, so there's only one Renault electric car on sale, which is the Megane.
Seems like a really weird decision because the Zoe's always been reasonably popular. You see lots of them around. Yeah. And it seems so weird to remove it before the Renault 5's out.
I know. Bizarre. They've sold tons.
Unless they're like retooling their factory or something to produce the Renault 5, but I don't know, there must be more to it than that because it seems such a strange decision.
Yeah. So officially production will stop in 2024, so March 2024, but in the UK here, it's just been removed from the market entirely. So, but as I said, they've sold loads. They've sold nearly 400,000 since 2012, which is a really, really good achievement. So, yeah, fantastic. Next one, a little sort of comes sad news, is the Honda E. So I reviewed the Honda E a bit late, a few months ago, and there were some murmurings around that will get discontinued, but Honda couldn't confirm or deny if that was actually the case. But they've now confirmed the fact that the Honda E is going to be dropped from sale. So I can't think they've sold many, unfortunately. And going forward, they've got the eMY1, which is their only electric car in the lineup. And there's been some mixed things said about it online already. But yeah, such a shame. I would have loved for a new one. redone one. So
yeah. I mean, it was such a good car. Obviously had its limitations with range and stuff, but the biggest problem was the price tag. I mean, it was just a crazy amount of money for that car. I mean, you were nearly at Model 3 money for a Honda E, and I know it probably just came along sort of too early in the day, because that should be at 25 grand. They'd sell hundreds of thousands of them. At 30, what was it? 37
grand.
Yeah. I mean, no, quite frankly, brilliant little thing, but it's not a £37,000 car. But at 25 grand, it would be a massive seller.
Well, I was watching some reviews from when it was launched. That was the price it was. So it was like 25 grand, 26 grand initially. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know why the price increased, but yeah, such a shame. I think we spoke last episode about that weird Honda E typed concept car. It was like a red and white type thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully there is something along that. Obviously, manufacturers won't discuss what's coming soon if there's no plans for it yet, but we'll have to see what they get up to. But yeah, bit of a shame because I love that car. So cool. We didn't do it last month. We've got 5 used EV deals from Auto Trader. The first one I clicked on, and it went from 23 grand to 39 grand. So overnight it already changed.
Okay.
But I managed to find there's loads of these Maxus T90 EVs. So we spoke at the top of the show about lease deals on the Maxus, but there's loads of them which are practically brand new for no money at all. So there's loads of them for around this sort of price, 23 grand. Some of them are brand new, some have done a few miles. I don't know what is going on. Must be very similar to what we mentioned about leasing things, but this is a 51 grand car brand new, and it's like half price.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, there's one here, 10 miles, 25 grand. The one I've given you a link for, and in the show notes as well. It's 23,994. It's done 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think last night for reasons why there's so many of these available, and I was trying to think. There's 2 reasons I could think of. One, the fact that this isn't 4-wheel drive, so the average pickup truck driver wants it for 2 things. They want to be able to drive off-road potentially and go and do like either telecommunications on fields and different things and drive off-road. This doesn't have 4-wheel drive, so that's already strike 1 against it. And the strike 2 is the fact that it can only take a ton payload. When you look at something like the SsangYong Musso that I reviewed on the channel recently, that can take like 4 tons or something stupid. So there's 2 things that people want in a pickup this doesn't offer, so that might be why.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, people often use a pickup to tow as well, don't they? As well as they'll use the bed and they'll tow with it. And yeah, I think, but if you've got a limited company or something, and you want to get yourself a practical company car that's going to cost you next to nothing on company car tax. Oof. Yeah, I mean, that will do it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not missed on features. So again, you haven't got 4-wheel drive, but you've got auto headlights, you've got Apple CarPlay, cameras, reversing cameras, and air conditioning, all the usual gubbins. So I mean, it's not a bad car, and Maxus have got a relatively good reputation in the UK, I think. So there's a fair few of their vans around. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, good deal. Again, links are in the show notes. Links are in the show description as well. This next one I found is we just mentioned the Renault Zoe just now. This one's a 1-year-old car, so it's a 71 reg. Renault Zoe, just under £13,000 for one that's done. How many miles has this done? 15,000 miles. So this is one of the cheaper Renault Zoes I could find online. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Although if you go to like the older Renault Zoes, you can get them for really very little now, can't you? And
you can.
Like if you look at one of the early ones, you can get one like sub £5,000, I think.
You can, yeah. I was going to mention that one, but the fact that it's a little bit dated now, and this one's got a nicer interior. It's got Apple CarPlay. It's got a bigger battery. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how cheap some of them have got. And the Renault Zoes, there's a load that have come out of what is it? Not Kazoo, onto. a load of defleeted vehicles that have come out of onto. So those are probably a lot of them that are on the market now, which is pretty good.
I know you've got a like Fiat 500e on there as well, and loads of those will have come from onto, I guess.
Yeah,
I saw one. I know the one you've listed is that Icon at 13,400. I saw the red edition.
Yep.
I think it was a 2022 with like 10,000 miles on it, and that was 14 grand.
Yeah. Actually, we'll mention that Fiat now. Yeah. So there's two different models with the Fiat 500, isn't there? There's the Action, which is those are all the really, really cheap ones that I've seen. So that's got the smaller pack and 100 miles of range. This was the very, very first one I saw with the bigger pack, so the 42 kilowatt hour pack, and officially 200 miles of range. This one's £13,000, just over £13,000, and it's done 30,000 miles, but it's a 22 reg. This looks great. This is the cheapest. Well, this was a cheapest 500 bigger pack that I could find by a long shot. Obviously, maybe apart from that red edition you found, but I mean, you mentioned a little while ago saying, you consider a 500e if it became cheap enough. This is
100%.
This is really, really good deal. So again, like it's not.
Yeah, I need it to be about 10 grand less than that with the way my finances are looking at the moment. So I might have a little wait.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not missing on features. So I think the Action doesn't have a screen. I'm not sure. I think it's missing on a screen or something.
Yep.
So it's got a big 10-inch screen. It's got USB ports, lots of airbags and things, and it's not missing out on features. And for you, I don't think you'll get anything close to this for the same sort of money anywhere else. So it's pretty good.
The infotainment system's actually really good as well, isn't it? It's not only is it a decent screen, but the infotainment system's like surprisingly good. You sort of expect it to be a bit poo in a Fiat, but it's not.
Yeah, I gotta say I've never used it. So I think you've had a Fiat for a month, but I think me and you drove one at a drive day in April. And no, I didn't use the infotainment, but I'd imagine it's pretty good.
You did use the brakes though.
I've got to test out the car.
Yeah, that's when you'd almost put me through the windscreen. So
it's still here. It's fine.
I know I bring that up fairly regularly, but I also see you've got an MG4 on the list, and I won't bring up the fact again that you crashed the press car. I promise.
I haven't seen that car reviewed anywhere else since. Oh man!
Did it catch fire or not? No.
Oh man. Oh. We'll talk about the MG4. So we got MG4 72 reg. So again, it's a year old. This is a 26 grand car, brand new. It's 18 grand. Like, I don't know what is going on with this. It's 16,000 miles, over 200 miles of range. That's really good. There's some great deals at the moment. So all I did for this, folks, is just went Auto Trader, basically done fuel type EV, and then I did 22 reg and newer, and then I found all these deals in like 10 minutes. So I haven't gone out my way to find all these special deals. There's a guy on Twitter I follow who just all he does is tweet out Auto Trader deals as well, and there's some great deals that I find. So I don't think you can say that EVs are expensive to buy, especially when you look at the used market now. So
the price of an EV is no longer the barrier to entry it was, is it? Because you can get something very new for under 20 grand, under 15 grand even, and you can get something older for like under 5 that would be fine for most people, certainly for short journeys and stuff. So when people say they're just for the middle class and etc., that's becoming less of an issue.
This one is actually in Bournemouth. This one's a mini hatch, 16 grand, 22 reg, just over 18 months old. It's in 17,000 miles. This is one of the higher spec models. I think it's a level 3 version, so you get more options on it. But yeah, this one's really good. I actually bumped into someone who I was charging the GV70 while I was filming. This guy, long story short, he was part of like a campaign for filming the Mini Electric when it came out, which is quite cool. So I had a little chat with him about his Mini, and he loves it. So they're really, really good cars. This is one of the cheapest Minis I could find online. So
that's at the main dealer as well.
It is, yeah, it's really good.
The thing with that is, I'd like to see more range from it.
Yeah,
I know it is a small city car and stuff, but it'd be good if it was like at least 190, 180, 190.
Yeah.
145 is a little bit. Yeah. But,
to be fair, that's where the new one's going to come.
Cool little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can see why the range is not that great, because I went around the factory. When did I go around the factory? Last month, the month before. So I went to the Mini Oxford factory. It's not very expensive. I think it's like 20 quid to go around each. And they show you the production line. So they make the petrol and the electric Mini on the same production line, and they give you like a cross section of a Mini, so lengthways. And you can see why the range isn't very good. The batteries are just in the back,
just tiny. Yeah.
It's just not designed for it, unfortunately. But it's
again, it was just we'll take the engine out and put some batteries in, really, wasn't it? So but the next one, hopefully, will be a lot better in that regard. But it's an incredible price. 60. It's actually 16,290 now. For a year-old Mini with 18,000 on the clock. It's pretty impressive. It looks really cool in that colour scheme as well.
It does, yeah, because you can get the one with the plug sockets. Obviously, a little bit more efficient, but like the plug socket wheels. But yeah, what I was going to mention is with the electric Mini, it was quite interesting the fact that they designed it. So the batteries are in the back of the car, and the guy was saying to stop the car from just doing a wheelie every time, they've actually made the electrical motor system in the bonnet heavier. So they've got metal girders around it, like structural metal. So I thought, it's a waste of like just putting extra weight in it to stop it from to cope with the design of it. It's really weird. But yeah, hopefully with the new one, I think it's going to be based on the Funky Cat. Don't quote me on that. The new electric Mini. So we're looking forward to that coming out. So it'll be quite nice.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one honourable mention of the Corsa-e. When I was researching this last night, there's over 20 Corsa-es for under 20 grand.
Yeah, it's almost a challenge now to spend more than like 23 on one, despite the fact they're supposed to be 36 or something.
Something stupid like that, yeah. Don't know what is going on with that. Really bizarre. So if I just have a quick look on Corsa-e on Auto Trader, and we do low to high. Again, that's all I did. There's tons here for just absolutely great. These are all, by the way, those are all brand new. So if we look at new car deals as well, there's a brand new one for 19 grand.
They'll just all be pre-reg, won't they?
Yep.
It'll be the same as we saw with the leasing. It'll be all pre-reg, and they just need to hit their quotas, and might even be individual dealers that need to hit certain targets. So they just pre-reg a load of them, punt them out cheap. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure how accurate it is, but there's two on here, which is the facelift Corsa. So the new one with the visor design. So I'm not sure if those are actually brand new cars, like the new model, but I'll have to find out on that. But there's so many I just scrolling for ages to all these Corsas that are 20 grand or less. Again, there's one for 19. So if you're in the market for a Corsa, definitely jump on that. Absolutely mad. So. Fantastic. There's a few stories. So got for the lightning round. So Ford. I haven't seen this story break anywhere else. I was tracking this because I'm quite interested in the new Ford custom electric van. I haven't seen the price information for this come out from anywhere else. I follow the guy who's like head of sales for Ford UK on LinkedIn, and he shared that they're releasing the prices soon. So I managed to find their sales PDF of all the details of the new van. But basically we've got the pricing and the specs for the new e-Transit Custom. So officially the diesel one starts at 38,000. That's with VAT included. This electric one's going to start from £52,056, and that's an 82.5 kilowatt hour battery pack with 134 brake horsepower. But yeah, since I wrote this story, I've checked again. No one else has found this information out, so at the moment I'm sort of got an exclusive on the pricing for this.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's too much, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's quite expensive for that.
I mean, van prices have gone bananas in recent times, generally, but I just think it's too much, and I don't see why it's that much, if that makes sense. You think if there's an easy vehicle to convert to electric, it's a van. You've got all that real estate to play with, and you don't have to do anything too cute, And I mean, it's like I had the Mercedes Vito earlier in the year, the electric one, and it was just way too much money for what you actually got, I thought.
Yeah, I remember that. So, I remember watching that review.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how well it will do really at that kind of price, but I guess if it doesn't do well, they'll discount the hell out of it and sell lots of them that way, because Ford would probably struggle to exist a bit without Transit in the numbers it sells worldwide.
Yeah, definitely. So that, just to reference, that £52,000 one is with VAT. It's £43,000 without VAT. And obviously, most people who buy vans buy it on VAT. So
yeah. Well, which is not as bad.
No, vans are just quite expensive. So with that, it's only 10 grand more than the very boggo. They call it leader trim. It's just all the plastic on it. The electric one comes in the mid-spec one only. So we'll see what happens with that. And also, there'll be loads of lease deals for businesses and things. So I think it'll be alright. They might even chuck in a free charger with the lease deal as well. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realise it was ex-VAT.
That's all right.
Including VAT. Sorry. So yeah, that's makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, there's also some information about when certain things are going to be released. So at the moment, there's the e-Transit going to be released in summer next year, and the deliveries are going to take place in that same time period. Again, it's a bit vague. And then there's different things split up into different waves. So you've got wave 2, wave 1, wave 3. And then wave 2 is from March 2024, and there's different heights and different roofs and different delays on different things. So there's going to be a lot of different options, different lengths and weights and payloads and things. But one thing I find interesting is that the payload of the e-Transit is very, very similar, if not identical, to the diesel one. So you're not really missing out on anything there.
Yeah,
which is quite good.
Yeah, that's very good. It's massively important, obviously, for the people that are going to be getting hold of one potentially.
Yeah. This was some news. Well, it's about a month ago now, but obviously we're a bit. It's because it's a monthly show. So Ora, GWM Ora, we're both through the Funky Cat now. They're going to rename it to the GWM Ora 03. And then we've also at the same time got the name for the big saloon car we saw fully charged. That's going to be called the 07. It was going to be called the Lightning Cat unofficially. So I don't know. It's a bit of a shame the fact they're renaming it, but yeah.
I think Funky Cat is a bit of a challenging name for what is a fairly challenging looking car if you get it in sort of the two-tone version and everything. And I guess they're trying to make it a little bit more universal, a bit. I don't know. It's very like Ora Funky Cat is very Google Translate, really, isn't it? Where something that might work in a different market maybe doesn't here. So I don't think I probably don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I'm not sure about 03. It's not the most imaginative thing to come up with, but maybe losing Funky Cat might actually deliver them more sales.
Yeah, I had a look around some of the forums as well, and some people were a bit disappointed the fact they rename it because it's sort of like it's the car's sort of identity, sort of the brand. It's make it quite friendly. But I enjoyed driving that car, but it also, as you said, hopefully it will make some people less weirded out by the name, I guess. So because we're a funny bunch in this country, aren't we? So things like that.
The Ora Cat might have been, yeah, definitely, but. Yeah, maybe the Ora Cat might have been a nicer idea.
Maybe, yeah. And at the same time, GWM announced their new brand sort of plan. It's the One GWM. And some cars are going to come to this country as well, the Way. So GWM have got a Way brand, W-E-Y. They've got coffee models. So they're going to rename those cars from Way Coffee 01 to become GWM Way 05. So they're going to get rid of some of the weird branding in this market. So let's see what happens. Those Way models are supposed to come to the UK at some point. And also we'll get the Ora 7, the Lightning Cat, next year. So yeah, hopefully it brings some sales for them, because it's always good to have new car brands to review and try out. So yeah,
that Way's quite a decent size SUV, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I like the look of that one.
Yeah, it looks quite interesting.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to have all these new brands to try out and see what things are launching. So it's always good. Last thing I saw on Twitter, or X now, I think we spoke about on the podcast a while back. There's pole-to-pole EV people. I can't remember their names actually, but they're basically driving from pole to pole, as their name suggests, in a Nissan Ariya that's been modified. And they're in. There's a picture on Twitter of them in the Arctic, and surprise, surprise, the EV's working in the cold, which is amazing. So,
well, at least they can keep warm from the fire that's about to happen.
Oh yeah, it'll catch fire next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess they probably catch fire in the cold, don't they, or where there's oxygen or something. So, it will, I think there's cold and oxygen there, so it's bound to catch fire at any moment. So at least it'll keep the hypothermia at bay.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this I've been tracking this on Twitter the whole time they've been doing it. It looks really good. What they've achieved with that car, and I think they were in South America at one point recently. So, and charging it up in different places. So, hats off to them. And I can't remember how long it's actually taken, but I'll put it on screen and in the show notes how long it's taken them. But hats off to them. Very, very impressive what they've done. So.
Yeah, that Ariya looks really cool as well, doesn't it? With a bit of lift kit and the massive tyres on it, and
it reminds me of the Top Gear Hilux from the Pole special they did, like in 2007, whenever it was. So with the Icelander trucks,
That's exactly what I want to do to a Smart 4.2. By the way, I've probably mentioned it to you before, but one of my dreams is if I ever get sort of an amount of money where I can just fritter it away on stupid projects, I will buy probably one of the original Smart 4.2 Brabus and put a lift kit on it and massive wheels and flare the wheel arches, just for the sheer arrogance of it.
That'd be quite funny.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
As this is the last episode of 2023, we're going to also look at what car was the best car we drove this year. So you've put yours in there. I've put mine in here as well. A bit controversial, but there we go. Yeah, no. So both of our vehicles are from the same group as well. So it'd be quite interesting to see what they are. So for you, what was your best electric car that you've driven this year?
So mine was the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And I know the design's a bit polarising for some people, but I absolutely love that car. It's the car that I did 5 countries in one day in. So we started in Folkestone, we went to France, we stopped in Dunkirk, we went to Bruges, we went to Eindhoven and Dusseldorf, all in one day. And it was absolutely brilliant. The rate that thing can actually charge at a super fast charger, if you're at a 250 or 350 kilowatt charger, is insane. I mean, when you can visibly see the cable shaking from a charger, you know it's going at a fair rate of knots. I think at the lowest point we had the battery at about 23%, and we're literally watching it going 23, 24, 25, 26. And yeah, it was just insane. Like, it was so good. It's a great thing to drive, and it's really been designed to be in driver's car, in my opinion. You can tell a lot of thought and energy and effort has gone into the way it drives, and the way it looks obviously is a bit polarizing for some people, but everything it was a wind tunnel design. The designer actually said, every line on this car is for a purpose, for a reason. And it's just such a lovely thing to cruise in, such a great sort of grand tourer.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before that video you and Tom made was absolutely amazing. I thought the banter between you two was just absolutely perfect. So it's a shame that video didn't get a load of views, but I thought it was really, really, really good. Hopefully you guys can do something similar.
Nuts. Yeah, and the second video is actually the better one, the one that's on Tom's channel, I think. We don't have the challenge, it's just us coming home. We went to Lille on the way back. We spent a night there. But Tom's just amazing at editing and stuff. And the both, and his videos had even fewer views than mine, I think. And it's such a shame because, you know, the time and just the filming alone, but then you add the edit onto it and the amount of money it costs and everything else, it's one of those where it just makes no sense. And then that video where I just literally have an idea, pull off the drive and go up the road has got 31,000. I think that 5 countries in one day videos on like 4 maybe. To give you an idea, that's probably made about £15 in ad revenue. So a little bit upside down on that one.
Yeah, awesome. And then my favourite car this year, again, we discussed it earlier in the podcast. I really thought it was the GV60 this year. I know that you said it's not quite as special as other Genesis models, but I really thought a combination of the way it looks, like the efficiency of it, and sort of the performance from that Sport Plus model was just absolutely amazing. And the amount of looks that thing's got when I drove it around that week, I did half think maybe the Honda E was my favourite car this year, but I think the combination of how well that car works, and again it's the same platform as the Ioniq 6, so the same charging speed you'll get from it as well, like rapid, fast, really good charging speed. So for me, my favourite car this year was the GV60. But
yeah, I mean the GV60 is a brilliant car. In pretty much every regard. My thoughts on it are just it doesn't feel like Genesis, but it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I had a bit of theatre to it, like the orb that folds, like comes out the dash, and so it feels like it has a little bit more space than the 70 in the interior, because I think because the center console is not quite as high, and I like how close the screens are to you, and I don't know, a combination of those few things I really liked.
Folks, if you're watching this as a video on my channel at the moment, please, whichever podcast app you use, please go and subscribe to us on that. The podcast is called Charging Status. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on pretty much every platform, Spotify, you name it. Please go and subscribe to us on there, follow us, and give us a review. It really does help. And please leave a comment in this video as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Again, thanks for listening or watching this episode of the Charging Status podcast. You can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. For a full description of this show, visit the episode link in the show notes. And of course, check out those chapters complete with images to make your listening experience much more enjoyable. We've got an ad-free premium version of this show available on Apple Podcasts. That will help support this episode and future podcasts we do. Jim, you've also got a book out all about used cars. Be sure to check that out. It's a great read. Link is in the show notes and on Jim's website, where I'm an occasional contributor. Thanks again, Jim, for joining me on the show. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on my website, 𝑘notaGuru.co.uk is probably the best place to go, and all my links to everything are there.
Fantastic. You can find the interface at theinterface.uk. Links are in the show notes. Thanks, everyone, and have a good Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.